Hello and welcome. I'm Darren, and it's pretty obvious what we're about to go through. Andrew's responded, and he looks quite angry, like he maybe wants to eat me. So, I don't know. Probably didn't go the way I would have liked. I would have liked him to maybe take a bit more interest in what I said. That it doesn't appear that that was the case by what he's said in return. And I think it probably... I want to clear some stuff up because I don't like being portrayed in a way that I don't believe is justified. I don't believe there's a lot of stuff that's in here that I don't believe is anything that I've said. So I find it quite strange. So I kind of want to just clear that up. I'm going to stay nice and calm because I don't really get involved in this kind of activity. I'm 45 years old. You know what I mean? I've got 2 children. I've got grandchildren. Like, this seems all a little bit kind of immature. I know some people will enjoy it. Maybe they'd enjoy if I start ranting back, but shit's going to have to get real for that to happen. So let's just go through some of it and I can kind of respond.
Guys, welcome back to Frog Boy X1 Gaming. Yeah, I guess all good things must come to an end. No more taking the name of NVIDIA in vain. I have to toe the line. We now have a watchdog that is going to go behind me and correct every single thing I do going forward.
No. You can say whatever you want about NVIDIA. Probably a lot of it I'll agree, because I don't like NVIDIA. I like my product. That doesn't mean I like the company. But at the same time, if you kind of listen to what I said yesterday, I don't want to be a watchdog going behind your back. I mean, it's a lovely title that you've given me, but I don't think you understand. If you're going to make side-by-side comparisons, which you have been doing, now why you've started doing that with a 4070 in the XTX when you had a 4080 Super in an XTX is weird. It's not a big issue if you're not doing like a benchmark, so it's fine. But if you're doing your side-by-sides, just use the same settings. Just use the same settings. And then I don't have to do anything because I don't really care what the outcome is. If you do a side-by-side with the same settings and the AMD looks better, good for the AMD. That's a win for the AMD. I have no problem with that. If you do the side-by-side and something on the NVIDIA makes the NVIDIA look better, good for NVIDIA. Awesome. But I don't see why it matters to me. It doesn't matter to me. I've got both of these GPUs. If the AMD GPU wins on something, that's a good win for the AMD. If the NVIDIA GPU wins on the NVIDIA, that's a good win for the NVIDIA. Strange, really strange thing to say. There is only one reason why I've been doing these comparisons, is because you've been doing it wrong. Now, whether you've been deliberately doing it wrong, I don't know. The amount of times you do it would suggest that maybe you are, because it's only one of them that always has the incorrect settings. And you had people comment that are still commenting now from God knows how many days ago about your different color things where you refuse to do it at default settings. So I did some color things at default settings. That's it. I'm just listening to the people in your comments, and the people in your comments are coming to my channel and asking me to do it. So I'm doing it for them. If you didn't do that, if you did everything with the same settings, I wouldn't have had to make a single video. So I'm not quite sure what you're getting at, but hey, carry on.
And
gives me content.
They're not going to let me get away with anything anymore. So we have to toe the line. We have to kiss NVIDIA's ass and just say
I didn't kiss NVIDIA's ass.
DLSS is perfect and never do any kind of...
DLSS is perfect. Who said DLSS is perfect, Andrew? Who said DLSS is perfect? I didn't say DLSS is perfect. In fact, generally when I'm making any comments, I say we know it's not perfect. I've never said it's perfect. It's just damn good. And it's not always damn good. pretty much every. I don't think I've had a bad experience with it. I've seen a couple of games where it looks a bit iffy. I think The Last of Us, it had some like quite bad ghosting and stuff like that. What version they use in that, I don't know. I don't play that game, but I've never said it's perfect. If it's 90% as good and it gives you a 30 FPS increase, I'd use it. Doesn't mean everyone else has got to use it, but perfect, no. I'm not quite sure where that's come from.
Side by side with AMD in the same video, because it's already skewed just because AMD is in there. So yeah, I don't know what to do now. My creativity is completely gone. I mean, having somebody looking over my shoulder all day long, going through with a fine-tooth comb over everything that I make to rebut me, and yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, what kind of content am I supposed to make now? I mean, yeah, like I'm completely lost. Man, really, dude? You're gonna go behind me, Spread?
Yeah, I am.
And you're gonna try to fix everything that I break? Well, first of all, let's make something perfectly clear.
No, Andrew, I'm not gonna fix everything you break. I'm going to, if you do a comparison and you put the settings wrong, I'm gonna make the same comparison with the settings right. That's what I'm gonna do. If people in your comment section come to my channel and ask me to do it right because they don't believe what they're seeing, then I'll do it. It's that simple. It is that simple. There's nothing more to it than that. And you will know this. What I'm actually surprised is you've made the comment, because I do read your comments, and you made the comment in your Assassin's Creed video where it looked 1080p on the NVIDIA GPU. Surprise, surprise. And you actually said, yeah, it's weird because it didn't look this way when I was playing it, but when I recorded it, it did look not as good. And you still posted the video? You still posted the video? Why? Because it would get you a ton of clicks, knowing that it was wrong. I'll tell you, do you realize how many hours I spent yesterday doing that Horizon thing? Because when I recorded on the AMD GPU and I transferred the files across by the USB, I realized that I had to cut down the files because they wouldn't fit onto the USB. And by doing that, when I actually got all my footage lined up and put it together, the AMD GPU I didn't think looked the quality that it should do. So I had to delete all of the side-by-sides I did, delete all of my footage, swap over systems again, go back to the AMD GPU again, and then record a shorter version at a higher bitrate to make sure that it would fit within the USB, so that when I swapped it all back over again and redid the side-by-sides, I was giving a fair comparison of the AMD next to the NVIDIA GPU, because they should, at native resolution, look the same. I made sure I did that before I posted the video, and I spent hours of having to delete and then go back and redo stuff, which was a nightmare. But I wouldn't have posted the video knowing that the AMD GPU wasn't getting a fair representation. But you did. Got your clicks, though?
Not everybody's a casual gamer, okay, bruh? Like casual, like DLSS is for casuals, period. I said it. If you don't like it, whatever, dude. That's some casual ass shit, bro.
What DLSS has got to do with anything, I don't know. If being called a casual gamer is an insult, I am a casual gamer. Fuck me, I'm 40. I've got a full-time job. I don't play games all day. I've got children and a family. Yeah, I am a casual gamer. Is that an insult? That's a weird insult. Really? Okay. Are you trying to insult the people that are watching your channel? Because I'm pretty sure that they go to work and have lives and probably casually game, but you're attacking me as if it's a fucking insult? Weird, man. Really weird. I didn't get that, bro.
I've spent enough money on NVIDIA and AMD to tell you that Yeah, dude, every time I flip on DLSS, like, it sucks the life out of my video game. It looks like trash. What can I say?
What has this got to do with DLSS?
Clingy, yeah, dude, that's a casual thing, bro. I personally prefer that more natural look that AMD gives you. I don't care for upscalers. I've never cared for upscalers.
You can play native on both GPUs. But what has this got to do with upscalers, and what's it got to do with DLSS? I told you in your video yesterday. I said in your video that you were making side-by-side comparisons with wrong settings that was obvious to your community, and that was giving AMD a bad look. Because you were trying to portray that the AMD was far, far superior in looks when you were giving different settings. What's that got to do with DLSS? And why does that make the AMD have some sort of superior... At native, they both look the same. I don't understand this. But whatever, carry on.
I left consoles to get away from upscalers, bruh. And, you know, DLSS is so damn overhyped that it drives me nuts. It literally drives me nuts how freaking casual that shit sounds to me. When everybody's like, oh my gosh, DLSS, you got people like Alex Battaglia creaming in his pants over shit. That's the last dude I ever thought that would become an NVIDIA shill, bro. Like, seriously, I'm like, really, man? You straight go from, like, picking apart PlayStation and Xbox to straight shilling freaking, like, a little bit better form of checkerboard rendering? Really, dude? Really? I'm like, what the freak? And then you got, first of all, let me put it this way. You want to call me out for the way I call out other content creators? Okay, well, I don't trust any content creator that gets a free 5090, period. I don't care what they have to say. I don't even listen to...
Why does it matter? Like, really, have you ever seen anyone that gets a free 5090 say anything different from someone that paid for their 5090? Because I haven't. They'll say the same thing. I mean, 5090 is now the top dog. Like it or don't like it, is now the top dog. There's nothing on a benchmark that's going to perform. If that's what matters to you, if FPS is what matters to you or whatever, nothing is going to outperform it. It's got more VRAM. If that's what matters to you, it's got more VRAM than anything, and it costs a damn ton of money, and probably not many people are going to buy it. But the people that have money and don't care will buy it, and that's fine, because those people went to work, they earned their money, and they're entitled to pay it on whatever the fuck they want to pay it on. I'm not going to go around telling people not to spend their own hard-earned money on what they want to spend on. But why a reviewer getting a free one makes any difference? I mean, I must be missing something, but I thought that the 50 series so far has been very negative, and it's been very negative within the reviews. Now, admittedly, I haven't watched many reviews on it, but I've not seen much said that's good about the 50 series. In fact, whenever I've actually looked down and seen any of the thumbnails, it's all pretty bad. And then you've got the melting and all the rest of it that's all come back again. 600 watts. I wouldn't be buying a 600 watt GPU. So I haven't particularly seen anything that great. Maybe I'm missing something, but whether they get it free or not, I mean, basically you're saying that these people have no integrity. They would have been called out. It's as simple as that. They would have been called out. There's no way that Hardware Unboxed, if what Hardware Unboxed that get a free 4090 were basically being paid by NVIDIA in a unrealistic term, and it was obvious, Gamers Nexus would have called them out. Because Steve's going to call out anyone for what he's considered is like wrong practice. So, no, I'm sorry, but I don't see where it matters. That's my opinion. You can have your own opinion. It sounds more like a paranoia thing to me, but it's
what they have to say. You know why? Because of everybody leading, like it's almost like a funnel straight to NVIDIA. Like even when I go to Best Buy, when I get online, it's a literal freaking funnel to DLSS. I don't give a shit about DLSS. I don't. I could tell you that immediately when I first got on PC. Like, here I was, you know, trying to be like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Literally making a fool out of myself on freaking Spider-Man Remastered on my 8 gigabyte 3060 Ti. It was 17 point blah 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 teraflops of power. Dude, I'll never fall for that shit again. Never. DLSS is overhyped. It's trash. It's literally it's an upscaler. It's an upscaler. You trying to tell me that $1,500 is a fair price for a 5080, bro? Because it's got an upscaler? Because
who told you $1,500 is a fair price for a 5080? I can damn well tell you that I didn't say that. So why are you saying that? Why are you saying I'm telling you that $1,500 is a good price for a 5080? Where the hell did you just get that from? Because people in your comments probably think that I've told you that $1,500 is a fair price for a 5080. I wouldn't pay $1,500 for a 5080. I wouldn't buy a 5080. So where did you just get that from? No, I'm not trying to tell you that. I've made my feelings clear on the 50 series. Obviously, I need to show you again. And maybe I need to show my audience again. By some people. Because it's very hard to discuss anything and have a certain take on anything without being... or without upsetting certain people. So, I'll make something quite clear first off. The RTX 50 series is a complete failure from what I'm concerned. I think it's probably... okay. So, the RTX 50 series is a complete failure from what I'm concerned. Just want to make that clear. Now, I probably did go on to say, for those people that can buy one at RRP and for those people that don't have a GPU, or maybe for those people that either A, have a 240 hertz monitor and can make use of the full frame generation, for those people that can buy one at RRP, and for those people that are maybe coming from a long generation ago, I wouldn't say that it's a failure. So I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying what it's priced at the moment, and certainly for me, moving from a 40 series, from a 4080, there is no reason for me to go from a 4080 to a 5080, which is, in that terms, for me, it's a failure, because I would normally want to make that upgrade. And this time they haven't hit, because there's just not the improvement. The improvement is mainly in frame generation, and I don't have a 240 hertz monitor, so to make most of the multi-frame generation, I'd have to buy the GPU and a monitor. And that, to me, is just not going to happen, so it's not a worthwhile upgrade for me this time around. So that's my reason for saying it's failure. There is absolutely no point in time when I have told anyone that £1,500 for a 5080 is good, or what anyone should be buying. Weird.
You got DLSS 4? Come freaking on, dude. You want to accuse me of, you know what, honestly, let me just tell you this. You want to accuse me of...
DLSS 4 is a good upgrade, but you don't need to buy a 50 series for DLSS 4, but it has been a good upgrade. And yes, people are right to talk about it, and they have a fair point to talk about it. Even Fabio at Ancient Gameplays was man enough to check out DLSS 4, and he tried it, and he was quite impressed with it himself. There was no reason for him to say anything else different. It seems to have really hurt a certain person. This one here. Why? I no idea.
Of being like,
but it's a good upgrade.
Of trying to like mislead people. I would never feel bad. Seriously, if somebody bought an AMD GPU and were like, man, I don't like this, I'd be like, I don't feel bad, bro. You don't need to turn on FSR. You don't need to turn on FSR. You can literally live within the means of the GPU that you could afford. You don't have to use an upscaler. And for anybody that wants to...
You don't have to use an upscaler. If people don't want to use an upscaler, that's totally fine. My problem falls apart, and I'm going to make this quite clear. My problem falls apart in the 4080 7900 XTX argument. And my reason for that is If you want to play at 4K, you do need to use an upscaler. Okay, so people will argue, well, don't play at 4K. But I want to play at 4K. I can play at 4K on the console. I want to play at 4K on my PC. I want to make the full, I want to get the full use out of it. And the way to get the full use out of it is to use an upscaler. Now, if people don't agree with that, that's completely fine. But the problem is the argument between what would be the main reason for buying a 7900 XTX over a 4080 if they're roughly the same price? And mine were. I paid roughly the same price. So if you're going to say you can get a 7900 XTX for $800 and the 4080 is $1,200, then there's a different argument to be had. This isn't the argument that I have. The argument I have that if they're at their MSRP, or if they're, within a close price, like what I personally paid for mine, the reason to buy the XTX over the 4080, which I read all the time, which is the argument, is for more VRAM. Okay, so you get the 24 gigabytes of VRAM on the obviously on the 7900 XTX. That is the reason that people say buy the XTX over the 4080. But if it can't play at 4K, what's the point? Why do I need 24 gigabytes of VRAM for a GPU that plays at 1440p? That doesn't make sense. It's pulling more power. It's pulling 400 watts so that it can drag that 24 gigabytes of VRAM along, and I'm supposed to play at 1440p with it because I can't use an upscaler. That doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense. Now, everyone's got their own opinion on that, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue. If you don't want to use an upscaler, don't use an upscaler. But at the same time, I don't see why you'd choose an XTX over a 40. Obviously, price difference. Yeah, okay, that's a different argument. I can understand that. But when people say, "Oh, I'm not buying a 4080 because of that 16 gigabytes of VRAM," you get 24 gigabytes with the 7900 XTX. But they're the same people that say that they'll only play it native. I don't know what games they're playing, because if you're playing a UE5 game, if you're playing anything that's been released in the last couple of months at 4K, you're 45 FPS. Maybe you play at 45 FPS. I don't know. I said I can't comment for other people. But that's my argument. People don't have to agree. People can agree, they don't have to agree. That's fine, whatever. But if I want to play at 4K, which I do because I enjoy playing at 4K, then it is important to me to have a decent upscaler. And my warning to anyone else that wants to play at 4K, you might find yourself in the same boat, because you're going to need an upscaler to play at 4K. So if you buy one of these GPUs and your intention is to play at 4K, and you haven't thought about how important an upscaler might be at 4K, you might get found out. And I think that's a fair argument for me to make. I don't know why that wouldn't be a fair argument, because it's not even an argument. I'm just giving people advice. Like, if you buy one of these GPUs and your intention is to play at 4K, which I'd imagine probably a lot of people are, when you're paying £1,000 for a GPU, you probably are thinking that you might have enough power to play at 4K. If you're buying a 24 gigabyte GPU, you're probably thinking you're buying that much VRAM to play at 4K. If you fucking turn the game on and it's at 45 FPS and you're like, oh shit, hold on, right, so I've got all this VRAM. What am I doing now? I'm going to have to turn an upscaler on. I don't want to turn an upscaler on. So you're turning the settings down. As soon as you start turning the settings down to get to your 60 FPS, you're now using less VRAM. So you didn't need that 24 gigabytes of VRAM. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need that much VRAM. The reason in buying that GPU is because of how much VRAM it's got. If you're not playing at 4K, you didn't need that much VRAM. That's what... Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know.
Try to tell me that, like, oh my gosh, DLSS looks better than native. I got a 4070 Super right there. I got a 7900 XTX right there. I got a perfectly good Ultra.
DLSS doesn't always look better at native. I've said this plenty of times. I've echoed it in my thing. It does sometimes. I've got a Tarkov video up. You can see in that game where it's got quite bad TAA that DLSS does look better than native, because at native, all the foliage and all the power lines and everything else is a complete shimmer fest. Throw DLSS on and it looks better. That's it. This does happen in some other games as well. It doesn't always look better, but there are occasions when it looks better.
ultra wide monitor. I've got that. I've got this. Oh yeah, I forgot to log in. I've got this perfectly good ultra wide monitor. Freaking my ultra wide monitor is better than a 3080, bro. Seriously,
Dude,
or
I've got an
5080
ultra
or
wide
whatever the
monitor.
freak it is. I'd much rather have. I'd
You're going to
much
be
rather
telling me your
take that
dad's
monitor
bigger than
right
mine
there, that
soon.
LG ultra wide. I'd much rather have that than a 5080. I'd much rather have the camera that I got right now than a 4090. Because why? Why the fuck would I want to pay $2,000 for a GPU just to flip on a fucking upscaler? You guys sound ridiculous sometimes. Literally.
Andrew, do I need to remind you what you said yourself in your own content? I obviously do.
You guys are so ridiculous. So let me just state this, okay? If FSR 4 doesn't come to RDNA 3, I'm done with PC. I will go back to PlayStation 5 Pro and Xbox because in my opinion, this shit's a scam. If $1,000 GPU can't get a new feature when it was sold with AI, yeah, this is all a scam. Literally a scam. I'm not going to say.
So if a $1,000 GPU can't get an AI upscaler, it's a scam. You heard it there on Andrew's channel. You heard it here at Frog by X1 Gaming. If a $1,000 GPU can't get an AI upscaler, it's a scam. But it hasn't got one. The GPU you're arguing about that you don't care about upscalers in the 4080, the $1,000 4080, does have an AI upscaler. You're going to leave PC gaming if your 7900 XTX doesn't get an AI upscaler. But you don't care about upscalers. Wow.
Freaking ridiculous out there. Oh, yeah, I mean, you pick a 12 gigabyte GPU because it's got DLSS. Mr. Daniel Owens out there, bruh, I would have much rather had a 7800 XT. Why? Because that card is actually built solid. It's solid built. Dude, I'm going to keep trolling the NVIDIA fanboys, whether you like it or not, Mr. Spratty. Whether you like it or not.
I don't care about you trolling the fanboys. You don't understand. I haven't made any content on things that you've said. I've made content on things that you've done. And what you did was misrepresented one of your side-by-sides or a couple of your side-by-sides by using different settings. That is it. The rest of your content, I don't care. If you want, as an AMD channel, to spend your time trolling NVIDIA, fair fucking play to you. Carry on. I don't care. If that's going to work out for you in the way that you think you're going to persuade people to move from NVIDIA to AMD, good luck. I don't see that as the method. Personally, if you are the AMD channel, I would have thought that you just want to concentrate on AMD rather than all of your content being about NVIDIA and DLSS, which you cannot stop repeating constantly. But I'm not here to tell you what to do. All I did was point out that you were making side-by-side comparisons and they didn't match up because you were using different settings, and people in your comments were getting pretty mad and they were coming to my channel and they were asking me to put those side-by-sides correct and show them what they should be seeing, and I did that. And I'm sorry that's upset you, but it is what it is. And if you do it again, I will do the same thing again, because when people are using their hard-earned money to buy a product and they go to these channels to see what that product should or should be doing, and they see something that is misinformative, that really upsets me. Simple as that. I don't like it. I don't want to be misled by someone. I don't like people misleading other people. It's as simple as that. If you want to make content just trolling the video people, knock yourself out. I ain't going to be part of it because I think it's childish, but that's just me. If you think that that's great content, carry on. It gets you clicks, so you obviously do, and that's fine. Carry on. That's it. I'm probably not going to go much further in this video because I think it just carries on with the same thing. I think it's just another 20 minutes of DLSS, 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 which even I'm at this point tired of hearing DLSS. So that's it. I've got nothing more to say. I'm not going to get involved anymore. I think I've made it quite clear that for some reason you're attempting to portray me as trying to make people buy NVIDIA or try and, I don't know, weird. I don't care, to be honest. I think you mentioned something which was weird in this, whereas you proved to me that your XTX was faster than my 4080 when I did the Assassin's Creed benchmark. No, what that proved is my XTX is faster than my 4080. How you turn that into your XTX, I don't know. I have an XTX. I was happy for the XTX to get a win. Weird, bro. Really weird. I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, there's nothing more to say, really. Hopefully people on my channel will kind of understand. You'll see my footage going forwards. I will be doing some side-by-sides now, just out of interest for myself, but probably for the people that have moved over because they obviously want to see that type of content where I am showing a side-by-side representation of the games that we're going to play. I'll do a run through of obviously what it looks like on the NVIDIA side. Yes, going through settings and using upscalers, and I'll do a run through of what it looks like on the 7900 XTX side. Again, using upscalers and settings or whatever we need. And then I'll run a side by side just to make sure that obviously the games look the same and colors look the same, if any difference, not some sort of drastic, oh my god, difference. I probably will get an external capture card just so I can make sure that they are being recorded on the same encoder. It can make a slight difference. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. There's no point going any further into that because it's, well, I'm too old for that. But anyway, whatever. So I'll catch you in the next one.